those, I'm thinking.
What are you thinking?
I don't know, there's a lot. You can even go for just a lot. Novaria,
Yeah.
Valentina. I think Valentina is still an option despite the nerfs coming into her IMU, her ultimate.
Definitely, right? I mean, you get so much flexibility with that Valentina here. And for Ap.Bren, that first pick will definitely determine how they'll take this draft. But the Nolan has been completely left open. The Nolan nerf, by the way, in the new patch is kind of deceiving, right? You would expect it to be, okay, a nerf. But I think Lofel likes to say this a lot when heroes get nerfed, but not that much. It's actually a hidden buff. Because with that slight nerf just being the cooldown duration being a bit, you know, it being increased, you're going to see a lot more Nolan play in the game. And with Nolan getting left open so much, you're going to see how broken this hero really is with that damage as long as Ap.Bren secure some lockdown, some CC.
But a lot of people have actually argued that the... Oh, I was going to talk about Nolan again, but we got to talk about this, right? Guinevere and Novaria. Am I smelling a Novaria? No, a Guinevere in the jungle.
You're definitely smelling the Guinevere in the jungle. You can see it as well. I think at this point, it's no longer a flex pick. Definitely could be utilized as a flex pick here, but I'm thinking instantly to the jungle. The Guinevere changes in the patch as well. The fact that now you can jump in and get a knock-up without having to rely on your passive is super setup. It's usually already a counter to a lot of the utility junglers that you have in the game. Now that you do not have to get that passive in, you can just jump in and get that massive chain CC on. There's so much you can do, especially up against someone as mobile who relies on that mobility as the Nolan.
And in addition to that point, right, this is a Guinevere and a Novaria combo. So the thing is about the Novaria, her ultimate can actually increase the hitbox range that will facilitate the Guinevere to get in those picks. So already a very dangerous combo. I wasn't expecting to see it in the first day, but here we are, the Theohiobrothers just giving up all their cards right now in the first match of the day. It's going to be followed in with a Faramis and a Claude.
You got to get that second HP bar when you're up against combo composition. You need some more dive, some more utility to help your team get to that place and to gap close a lot against the TOB lineup. With the Novaria, with the Guinevere, they have two different styles that they can rely on now. They can start to build on now. Either it's a full front to back with the Novaria being with the Novaria in the back and the Guinevere being that main frontliner with maybe possibly another frontliner, or they go full dive with a Phoveus, a big counter that was used by Ap.Bren actually against Blacklist International, the Phoveus against the Nolan. And we're going to see it here again. Me and Arashi, and even with Marky, Beloy, and Wolf, we've been talking a lot about how broken the Phoveus is going up against a Nolan. The Nolan really needs to use those dashes to go in and out, and this Phoveus punishes him hard.
But the question is where the Phoveus is going in terms of laning.
Should be XP with the Guinevere locked in and the Novaria. I don't think it's going to be flex into the mid or the jungle.
It could still be a Novaria roam. Or is that not their style?
I don't think so, man. Super Shark, he likes the initiator, tanky roamers. Doesn't really like the utility or, you know, Novaria.
The utility or the Novaria. I understand, which is why we've seen a lot of variations of certain heroes, especially throughout the different regions, which is why it was a question for me, right? Is this the style of the Theohiobrothers? Is this something that North America has actually picked up in their meta? But here from Ap.Bren, we do see a Fanny and a Fredrin being taken out. I want to talk about this a little. Is a jungle tank still viable in this meta? Because of the buff towards Lord, it seems a little bit more tricky than it was before.
Definitely is a bit more tricky, but I would say the most efficient junglers are still going to be the utility slash fighter junglers, right? You have so much HP to play with. You have that early game as well, good clear. And honestly, what makes them so strong is in the early game, so much lockdown with the CC, especially someone like the Fredrin. But we have seen teams already start to transition to the damage-dealing assassins back again in the jungle. And that's what we're seeing from Ap.Bren with the Nolan pick already, very early on. TOB, first pick in the second phase, and they decide to take the Beatrix away from Super Marco.
All right. So what are we looking for here? Is this going to be a Faramis in the mid lane? Or is it going to be a Faramis for Ogwyn? I mean, understanding Ogwyn, I think he likes more initiator type heroes. I think this will be flexed into the mid. So what are we looking for here in the roam position? That's going to be Kufra. That's going to be a lot of cover and a lot of initiation potential for Ogwyn himself.
Most definitely a playmaker, Ogwyn. one of the biggest factors as to how they were able to completely destroy Blacklist International in the final game of the Grand Finals. It was Ap.Bren and Mpli, two playmaking heroes, and this time they're actually going to put Mpli on a hero that's not as playmaking, right? More of a distraction, more of just a solid front line in the front cell, trying to distract to open up for the Kufra initiations.
Do you think that in this situation right now, we already see the overall situation coming in from Ap.Bren, the overall idea that they're going for? Will Phoveus be able to stop Nolan, especially now that the Theohiobrothers also pick up an additional hero in the Kaja to help control the jungle?
It's a bit tough to say right now, man, for both Ap.Bren and TOB. I feel like the Nolan here, it's already really, really tough to go up against the Phoveus, right? That's something that they really need to deal with from the get-go. It's either they go straight on to the XP lane, try to shut down the Phoveus at the start, or the Phoveus just scales and becomes a big, big hurdle for Ap.Bren to jump over.
It looks like Ap.Bren has a different hurdle as well. Looking at your talent prediction, Mirko, the Theohiobrothers. Is it going to be a mere curse or a mere bless today?
I don't know, man. You're just gonna have to see, you know? I don't really claim any mere curses or mere blesses. We'll just see. I'm just gonna say, Ducky told me yesterday at the lobby, don't predict us, so yeah.
All right, how convenient. But ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome you to the opening match of MPLI 2023. From the Philippines, we have Ap.Bren, and all the way from North America, we have the Theohiobrothers. So let's get straight into the Land of Dawn.
Here it is. At the start of the game, we're expecting a bit more of a closer game. But honestly, I want to take a look at this matchup, right? The Kaja pick into the Kufra, not something that you would usually see, knowing that the Kufra actually has a better time usually against the Kaja. But it just shows you when a team goes for the Kaja after a Kufra comes in, that the Kaja is a really, really experienced player and is very confident in the skill that he can actually display in the Land of Dawn, maybe going in for the initiations before the Kufra or maybe even the Uranus can set up and open. We're already seeing some aggression here from TOB early on, getting that Lethal Wanderer. A small win, but it's a win that is quite expected for a Guinevere in the jungle. Super fast clear on top of the crazy changes in the patch to that knock-up, now instant.
Now, we were talking about Phoveus being a really good issue or a good point for the Theohiobrothers to utilize against Ap.Bren. In the laning phase, a Uranus and a Phoveus. What is that going to look like? But wait a minute, best player one.
Some damage, best player one, just getting deleted in the first minute of the game. You need lockdown. Once you get that, Nolan is free.
And that's Nolan for you. Early game pressure, really good ganking potential, and that damage. Even despite the nerfs coming through, I do feel like this early game is still something to be afraid of. And for the moment, we aren't actually seeing the Phoveus being a big issue just yet, especially in the first 5 minutes of the game.
Not at all, man. We need to see level 4. That's the power spike for this, for both actually the Guinevere and the Phoveus, but mainly the Phoveus, right? For Guinevere as well, you'd expect some sorts of more survivability. There's a bouncing ball in the mid lane just to stop Super Shark, and that's more mid-prio for Ap.Bren, setting up for the turtle, but best player one is already holding it down, resetting it, and not letting Ap.Bren get their hands on it.
Let's see what goes on here right now. Ap.Bren still holding the economy lead. In terms of level, Kyle TZ does have a little bit of an advantage over the Guinevere, over best player one. So it doesn't look like the Theohiobrothers actually want to commit onto the turtle just yet. But neither do Ap.Bren. They're looking for some pressure in the mid side before they start setting up.
We haven't seen a lot of competitive, tournaments right after the patch. It's probably the first one, the first actual real international tournament after the patch. And this is why we're already seeing it delayed. Gwen, Tyrant's Revenge and the Tyrant's Rage connecting on the Super Shark, who's now forced to flicker out. Kaltizi burns the Fracture. And Ap.Bren get a big W here against the Roamer. Best player one rotating down as well. Mielo has the damage, and that's going to be the Violent Requiem locking down one, but the Netherrealm saves Gwen for a bit. There's some dive as well from Mpli. Mielo's taken super, super low, unable to use the Demonic Force, and under the turret now locked down by Divine Judgment. Mpli looking for that kill, and he actually does get it with the help of Gwen. It's 1-for-1, but Ap.Bren secured a neutral objective.
Looks like they're looking for more here. I don't think they should at the moment.
Whoa!
But it's going to be Super Marco taken out 1v1. What happened?
That is something that we don't see a lot. Super Marco getting solo killed up top by Zia.
How? I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to wrap my head around what exactly happened because in theory, I would say that Super Marco would have a little bit of an edge, especially now that he's level 6. He has the Blazing Duet to jump in and jump out of situations, but I wish we could see a replay of that particular lane.
Looking at how it happened, up top in the map, it looked like Super Marco just went for a very, very deep dive and had to pay the price for it.
So overconfidence?
Overcommitment, definitely. Fracture now from Super. Oh my god! Just deleted off the land of Dawn once again. That Fracture. Disgusting.
That's Super Shark of all of the players as well. That's their roamer that gets instantly taken out by Ap.Bren, and this is it. The Theohiobrothers, they need to think about their game plan. What were they going for with this particular strategy, right? With Novaria, with the Phoveus, do you think that they should play a little bit more passively in the early stage, play for that late game, and buy some time, especially realizing that up until this point, Kaltizi, there hasn't been any counter towards him?
On paper, that's definitely what they're trying to do, right? They're looking for that mid-game power spike that's bound to hit at this point because even though Ap.Bren have been able to win a lot of the early skirmishes, especially around the neutral objective, TOB have been trading really well with Xia, getting a solo kill up top, and now TOB putting the pressure on, giving Xia so much more room, so much more space. He got a few good hits on that turret plating, and now clears out the wave as well.
Let's see. It's only been 5 minutes. Can you imagine? Xia already actually munching out on that turret in the top side. Phew. He's trying to defend it for his life, but he can't. They gotta let it go. So in this exchange, Ap.Bren, they lose that gold lane, but in the middle...
Has to burn Flicker, and that's going to be the jump again with the Requiem comboed in. NetherRealm still ready, but it's going to be used up in the last second. Oquim gets popped and pulled out of the NetherRealm, and that's another kill going to TOB for free.
They're putting out a really good show right now. The Theohiobrothers, I mean, I think everyone watching, the audience as well, they were expecting this to be a landslide for Ap.Bren. I mean, this is the tournament favorites, the champions of MPL-PH. And the Theohiobrothers, you can call them a dark horse, and yet this is the performance that we're seeing from them. Ap.Bren, it looks like they need to find more things elsewhere.
They need to look for a trade here, or they just need to take it even slower. But if they do that, take it slower, even slower, they're going to risk a lot of the mid-game power spike, a lot of the mid-game pressure going to the hands on TOB. You're going to actually have to sacrifice that maybe, and you can already see the lane swap here done by the side of TOB to give Xia even more space down below to bully Flap-Teasy. Ogwen just gets a Tyrant's Revenge, goes in for Tyrant's Rage as well. It's a good lockdown as well. Best player 1 running away, Spatial Migration, and the clone gets him out to safety.
And Ap.Bren, at the moment, still holding that gold lead. You were talking about Xia earlier on with the lane swap, but Xia already has that BOD, so essentially the damage is already there just in case he does want to participate into the team fights. And that's the story we wrote. Super Marco, how far is he? I'm wondering, I'm curious as to see the items building in for both of these teams, and especially the gold lane.
It's a fun fact, actually, just now, we are seeing a lot of Claudes go for Corrosion Scythe first item instead of the DHS first item that we usually normally see. And that's, I feel, what Super Marco is also going for. He went for the Corrosion Scythe first, and now, only now that he's building towards the DHS and then the Golden Staff to get more hits on that Blazing Duet, on the on-hit effects there to slow the opponents down and to provide maybe a bit more utility in these fights. We can see Kaltizi with the Fracture again onto Who, but now gets caught in the Spatial Migration. The Requiem locks him down, and it's best player 1 who secures a kill onto Kaltizi. Meanwhile, Flap just jumping forward, trying to zone TOB away, trying to get some more space for the rest of the team to follow it back up onto the turtle here that spawned back in. It's BP1 with a free turtle. He just needs to hit on this Retribution. The Mirror's Passion gets locked into the Blazing Duet in the back line with the help of the Corrosion Side. Slows Xia down enough, but he flickers around the wall, but it's Ogwen with a Timer's Rage Flicker combo, locking him down, picking up a double kill. As Mielo now is looking for a re-engage with the help of best player 1. They decide to move back. They get the turtle, and that's it.
That's going to be a 2-for-1 trade, but the Theohiobrothers take the turtle. So essentially, in that particular situation, would you go for a death for a turtle? Is that a good trade for the Theohiobrothers?
I think looking at it, it should have been a good trade, but Ap.Bren got 2 kills. That was a 4v5. Ap.Bren actually had no right winning that team fight, but they did anyways.
But remember, the kill's onto Ogwen. Ogwen's 3-1-2.
it's about the pressure you get with the kills, right? Sure, the gold acquisition could definitely be better. It could definitely be on better hands like Marco or even Few. But the fact that they were able to take down 2 members there gives Ap.Bren so much more room and space around the map. You can see turrets start to fall, and you can see Super Marco is given that space to farm up to get a level lead over Zia now.
I mean, despite that, I do agree with you. Ap.Bren still look like they're holding control over the map as well. They have a little bit more turrets under their nose. They're utilizing that advantage really well. And it looks like the Theohiobrothers are kind of stuck in their own base. They've been asphyxiated. But we now see the potential of the composition that the Theohiobrothers brought in with the combination coming in from Best Player 1 as well as Novaria. The combination that we were talking in from the drafting phase is something that Ap.Bren, they need to look out for. They need to watch out for. They can't get overconfident because eventually when these things... I understand you think that Ap.Bren might have a little bit more of an advantage in that particular situation, but imagine that keeps on happening over the course of this game and over the course of the next neutral objectives. KyleTzy needs to stay alive. He can't be taken out. I think that's imperative.
Definitely. I think Super Marco as well, with the help of KyleTzy, these 2 carries basically need to stay alive as much as they can, because there's a lot of kill pressure, there's a lot of pick pressure as well for the side of TOB. They can look for it, and this is exactly it, the Flicker Divine Judgment, but it's only onto Ap.Bren, who has a lot of help with the Consecration and another realm already, but that's 2 big resources burned out. Ap.Bren baited out the Demonic Force, and KyleTzy is already on the Lord. That's a big resource burnt out as well. Few jumps in with the Shadow Stampede, brings Super Shark back, but it's a free Lord over to Ap.Bren, who are playing this game perfectly from the mid-game onwards.
Wow, 5,000 gold lead for Ap.Bren as well. So these little wins that the Theohiobrothers have actually been able to amount to, they have still not been able to gain control of the game here 10 minutes in. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you at home watching, don't forget to name this hero. Who is this? Because
Who
if
is
you
it,
guess it
Eterna?
correctly, you guys get a chance to win 4,000 diamonds. I can't answer that.
You can't answer that?
I can't. I'll give you a
can't because
clue.
you don't want to reveal it, or you can't because you just don't know.
I know. We were talking about this yesterday. Because I said Zilong, and it turns out it wasn't Zilong.
Or maybe
Someone
it is.
else.
Someone can guess Zilong now. Maybe that might be like a bait, right?
Well, that's a clue.
That is a clue. It's not Zilong, or maybe it is. You never know when it's Eterna sometimes, and honestly, this game as well, you never know when it's Ap.Bren, right? Early on, it was TOB who held it down, but Ap.Bren have come back from it, and the way they come back is they get a massive gold lead to play with a big Lord marching down in the bottom lane. TOB still has a lot of good wave clear, though. They have Zia on that Bennett, and it's Hoon on the Novaria. Very, very good wave clear to play with, and they'll be able to clear out the waves very easily with the first Lord Siege.
Got a lot of range as well in their composition, so I don't believe that this is the time for Ap.Bren to go in for the end. And you were talking about the items coming in from Super Marco on the Claude with the Corrosion Scythe. Do you think it's because of the nerf towards the emblem?
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, again,
Like a decrease in slow, right?
a little bit more adaptation for the items as well. I feel like even without the nerf, the Corrosion Scythe first could be just a little bit of an adaptation with the Claude nerfs in the patch before this one. Remember the one where you can't really clear waves as fast anymore? Now you use that Blazing Duet more to poke, to join team fights, and with that Corrosion Scythe, it basically acts like the physical damage version of an Ice Queen wand, just giving you utility to play with.
And you guys can play with a little bit more diamonds as well. If
Hey.
you guys at home that win 4,000 diamonds, and all you need to do is register for updates to One Esports. That's it.
So you can guess the
4,000
hero for
diamonds.
4,000. You can register for updates for 4,000. That is equal to 8,000. Quick maths.
Essentially
Eterna?
8K, yeah. And that's a 1K gold difference between the gold laners here right now.
Ouch.
What do you think about this disparity?
I mean, it's crazy. It's a 1.6k gold lead in the 12th minute of the game on a Claude. He's been free farming so much, despite that solo kill earlier on that a lot of people would expect to be one of the determining factors as to how a gold lead actually forms. No, Super Marco has been given so much space, he's actually a level ahead as well. And with that Windtalker, now all he needs is a Wind of Nature that he's already building towards. And heck, he might even go for a Sea Halberd instead of that Wind of Nature.
With that being said, is there no possibility, no scenario that Best Player 1 can be the one to take him down?
There's a chance. Ogun with the Conceal looking for the play in the bottom lane. The whole team is rotating down with the Conceal. Oh! Ogun misses the Timer's Revenge Flicker combo. Zia dashes out now. The team is there to help him out, but he already used the flicker earlier. That's the Astral Echo coming down. Super Sharp flickering forward just to buy a little more space as Zia is still kiting back. But look at that Nolan jumping to the black. That's a fracture to take Zia down. But the Demonic Force follows through as well. That's a double kill from the Nolan. With the help of the Netherrealm, he stays intact, and it's only Mielo left to defend. 1v5. Mielo gets taken down by Super Marco, and it's a wipeout for Ap.Bren.
Wiped out straight into the first match of MPLI 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what makes champions. This is what gave them the championship back at MPLPH, and they're looking for the end.
14 minutes. A convincing win from Ap.Bren despite a lot of small mistakes. They come out on top with pure discipline.
Wow.